Tom Reed. I'm principal of Berkeley Adult School.
I'm Alfred Miller. I'm a CTE teacher at Berkeley Adult School, and I'm also an instructional technologist as well as the Canvas admin. I actually have an interesting story behind Canvas in that many years ago, I was looking into using a learning management system with my students. And our particular school district doesn't offer our adult school students a district email. So I wanted to particularly find an LMS that did not require a district email, because initially we would use Google Classroom being a Google type campus, but needed to find some alternatives. So I looked into an alternative, and while searching around, I found Canvas. So I started to use the free Canvas, and lo and behold, after a couple of years of trying to use it, setting up my courses and all that, we realized we have this pilot come on. So I kind of had some experience with Canvas beforehand, but while being asked to become the admin and help do the Canvas pilot with our school, there were some trainings provided by OTAN and from Canvas directly. They were partnered between the two agencies, and they gave me some insights of a few things that I didn't know. Also, seeing the admin side of things really helped me understand the processes better, but I learned a lot of it kind of self on my own, looking at the tutorials that were built into Canvas, and just being kind of a technology teacher is a little more straightforward to me just to kind of figure it out.
So there were a couple issues that we wanted to accomplish in Berkeley Adult School. One is that we wanted to provide more supports for students to be able to access learning from whatever conditions the world is in or their lives are in now. There's a lot of barriers to coming to class, whether it's a pandemic or my car broke down or my work schedule changed. And if we can have our course content structured in a way so that students can access at least some of it, even if they miss a class, that's in favor of student learning. And the other thing, though, that's been part of our interest in growing as a school, it has to do with curriculum consistency, right? So whoever is teaching that particular course title, students really ought to get the same skills, similar skills, whoever is teaching the course. And Canvas can be a tool for that curriculum consistency. A teacher can build a course, or we can download a shell from somewhere already built, make it what we want it to be, and then that can be shared among teachers. Maybe those teachers are teaching in the classroom, maybe they're teaching distance learning, maybe they're independent study teachers. But we're able to do a better job guaranteeing students the exposure to the same skills.
Skills within our staff, some who are really like explorers and can dive right in and do things, and others who are less so. So at least take your time and try to go through a few tutorials. So fortunately, Canvas created a course called Growing with Canvas, which I adopted most of it and made our own course called Teaching Canvas for Teachers. And they can kind of go through it self-paced if they want. And we've been doing some other trainings, but definitely to take it slow, because a lot of us want to dive right in. How do I put my curriculum in? How do I do this? How do I do that? You need to learn kind of the nuts and bolts of what Canvas is, some of the power of what it could do before you just dive right in. Because I kind of learned, as I mentioned before, I started with the free account. I now realize in retrospect, had I known some of what I know now, I might not have made pages back then. I would have made assignments instead. So I didn't have to copy and paste and redo some work and think things out ahead of time before you just dive right in to create. That'd be my first and most important tip.
We, in the last year or so, have come to see this issue of learner access as just a super high priority for us as a school. So that's our goal. And this just seemed like such an important tool for meeting that goal. We weren't able to come before the pandemic, not consistently. And so it is for, oh, my babysitter fell apart, right? And I can't go to class tonight, for example, or my work schedule changed, your car flopped. All those things happen to our students. Besides that, we do believe that there's a segment of our student population that will continue to benefit from distance learning. But even our courses that are in person, I mean, Alfred started using Canvas when everything was in person, but he found the benefit to student learning by having the course content organized in a way that students could follow and available to students to move on when they were ready to. they didn't have to wait for the teacher, Alfred, to introduce the next thing, because they had access to videos, page content, whatever it was, at the right time for them. So, which is another dimension of access to learning.
In other words, students can use it, like Tom said, to access any of the curriculum at any time, at any place, because you can do that through a website, but is it organized? Is there a way for people to turn things in? So not only does Canvas help you organize your whole course, create the structure of the directionality of the flow of the course, it also has the flexibility of you having the whole collection aspect, because you can make assignments, people turn things in. People can turn things in a multitude of different ways. There's the real power too. I was just teaching a training yesterday where I showed them, hey, your students can record their voice or a video of themselves when they turn in an assignment. So if you're an English language teacher and you want to hear them actually pronounce it, not just type in the words, you have them submit the assignment by saying, record a video of yourself. Totally insane. And just there's so many great things about what Canvas can do. You can make assignments that embed videos. You can embed websites. You could use Canvas Studio and try to make your own Canvas Studio quizzes from a video. Granted, it may be as good as other ed tech tools that people know, like an Edpuzzle and such, but there are a zillion different coordination apps that can be coordinated in if schools have accounts for that.
What we found is that it really worked to get this small nucleus of people that found it a delightful place to be professionally, to be using Canvas, and that could grow. So when we invested this spring in having more professional learning resources and time to support us in this bigger work of student access, there were a surprising number of teachers who were ready to invest their time, paid time, invest time in learning Canvas. Some that had begun early tinkering in Canvas, like mid-year, and others they continued, and others that in the spring say, yeah, that makes sense. I want to try that. I want to explore that. So that we now have a cohort of like 15 teachers that are all pursuing Canvas right now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in fact, we decided even partial use of Canvas is we made a new teacher orientation or an onboarding course in Canvas that all new teachers who come in take the little course in Canvas to learn about not just Canvas, but about the school. Where do you find the timesheets, or who do you go to for timesheets? That kind of stuff. So we made kind of an onboarding staff class for teachers in Canvas that they go through, and we adopted that at the beginning of the year.
Yep. So self-study requires much collaboration, right? And so, hey, here's a platform, here's a tool to support this collaboration. Log into Canvas. Your focus group that you're working in has its module or several modules within Canvas. This is where you do your work. So more and more of our staff will get this exposure from the student experience of working in this tool, which is, of course, a fantastic step to taking it on from the teacher side.
So it's kind of Canvas is that thing. It's kind of a one-stop shop. It really pretty much holds pretty much anything. And if it has the linkages to these shells or the linkages to the third-party apps, it's one outlet for all your curriculum, one collection for all your materials. You don't have to go out to the third-party source. Did student A do X, Y, and Z? Let me go check. Now, where do I document that? Canvas will do it all.
One of the things that we're looking at, and I appreciate those various tools that are out there. And I would say if a school is comfortable using, for example, Edgenuity, well, great, use Edgenuity for your high school program. For us, we anticipate continuing to provide some classes by distance learning. And one of the issues we consider is that in as much as there is some asynchronous time structured into the class, that it's not all sitting in Zoom, all the scheduled hours, how do we account for that? How do students get support for that additional learning time? How do we have a record of their activity and their learning during that time? And so for us as a school to have not a half a dozen different places to look when the day might come when we need to justify the attendance hours that we're reporting to the state, or justify the attendance hours that we're using for our own understanding of our own program, for our own metrics, internal. Having a consistent place to look for that information makes a whole lot of sense. In Canvas.